Friends, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we come to the end of this mini-series. We've been talking about how to slap yourself out of a mess. And of course, this was inspired by the slap that Will Smith gave Chris Rock at the Oscars. The word slap, we've broken it into an acrostic, and that's what we're looking at. 4 ways of getting yourself out of a mess, or 4 ways to handle your situation when you find yourself in probably a self-inflicted mess. What do you do? How do you navigate from there? Remember, we all find ourselves in one of those situations or another. Nobody is perfect. All of us at some point in time have messed. Probably even as you're listening to me right now, you find yourself that you are in a mess. The question is, how do we extricate ourselves out of that situation? How do we make it better? I want to come to a close of this series today by sharing with you one more principle. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
We are definitely going to start with a recap. How do you slap yourself out of a mess? The word slap, we've broken it down into an acrostic, S.L.A.P. The first principle, when you find yourself in a mess, remember this: sliding is inevitable. Falling is inevitable. Finding yourself in a fall or in a mess, as long as you're a human being, is inevitable. No matter how much we try to be good, no matter how much we try to be angelic, if I use the analogy of sinning, right? And if sin is anything you do, anything you think, anything you omit to do, anything you say that is not pleasing God, you find that in a day, in one single day, you might have accumulated quite a number of sins. In a month, you've accumulated quite a colossal. In a year, you might be having more than 1,000 sins if, and only if, you've been sinning 3 times a day. You and I know that we are human and we do more than 1,000 a day. And therefore, by the end of your lifetime, you have over 10 million. What am I communicating? Sliding is inevitable. Finding yourself in a mess is an inevitable thing. You will find yourself messing, even if you desire to be good. That's what I find very interesting. That even if I set myself to be as righteous as ever, I find that at some point in time I still fall. But it doesn't mean that if I am acknowledging that sliding is inevitable, it doesn't mean that I go there personally, and I go there intentionally because I give up. I'm always going to sin. No, that's not what I'm communicating. I'm communicating the aspect of people being disappointed with themselves when they find themselves in a mess and thinking that they will never make it in this life and they are a failure. No, it is human to err. But when we do fail, when we do falter, when we slide, when we end up in a mess, it's an opportunity for us to rise up and do life even better with the feedback that we've received. Now, no, I am weak here. I should avoid this. I should avoid that. Number two, if you're going to find yourself in a mess, you need to realize one thing, that your life has a foundation. That is L. Life has a foundation. What is the foundation of life? Values. You have a value system that is dictating what you would do, what you would not do. In fact, sometimes you mess because you're trying to defend your values. That's what Will Smith might have done. Chris Rock cracked a joke against his wife, and his values could not stand it. So he rose up and went and he slapped him. Chris Rock cracked a joke because his values allowed him to do it. Life has a foundation. Every time you find yourself in a mess, it is time to look at your navigation. Find out what your foundation is and become true to that foundation. Always review your anchor. Always reaffirm your values, no matter what. Always stand firm for those values. If you're going to find yourself in a mess and extricate yourself out of it, you will, of necessity, make sure that your values are intact and you are operating in life on them. If the values are messed, restore them. Yesterday we talked about number 3, acknowledge your mess. Don't ignore this. Don't think that, and don't what do they call it? Don't deny that you messed. One of the things that we normally do a lot is defend ourselves and make excuses when we're messing. Don't. Acknowledge it. The moment you acknowledge it, you are humble enough to start dealing with it. And that's where your freedom and your power is. Today, let us close this by saying this. How to slap yourself out of a mess. Number 4, remember, peak moments must be defined by the self. You must define your peak moments. And let me just explain this so that we can all understand and be on the same page. People are already writing off Will Smith, or they already wrote him off. They are saying that that incident was peak moment for him and that he wasted his peak moment when he slapped Chris Rock. They're actually saying that this is his pit. He is fallen. He is in a mess and there's no way out. Well, I have a different opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever we fall, listen to this, the worst that can happen is when we listen to people dictating how the rest of our lives are going to turn out, and we nod in agreement and we give them a mental assent and a spiritual assent. When you've messed up, people sometimes put so much, define themselves by their messes and the interpretations of other people for their mess. For example, you've always thought that I am going to live a righteous life, I'm going to live a life of purity and so on, and I'm going to transcend. And then at some point in time, you find yourself in a mess. And let me tell you, T.D. Jakes is the one who gave us this statement. He said, when your mess is discovered, the rest of the people act as if they have none. And the worst you can do is to start listening to those people, and they are nailing the last nail on your coffin. And you're agreeing with them because, number 1, you're embarrassed. Number 2, you are so disappointed with yourself. You've let yourself down. Number 3, you don't feel like you are entitled to a comeback, and therefore you stay put. You've let other people define your peak. You've let them define your summit. You let them define the height of which you can be able to go, and they are saying that this is the tallest that you can go. This is the highest that you can get to, and therefore, because you've messed at this moment in time, it's over for you. Whenever we fall, the worst we can do is listen to people dictate how the rest of our lives will turn out. People can be vicious, especially the nobodies and the busybodies. They can be so vicious, as if they are the angels of this world. They have no sin, no ought against themselves. Don't you ever let them write your script. Don't you ever let a human being, unless that human being is your mother, who is speaking positive things into your life, or your father or your mentor who is speaking positive things into your life, don't you ever let a human being write a negative script of your life and you agree to it. We have had stories of kids whose teachers were saying you never amount to anything, and they rebelled and they say you are wrong, and they went ahead and they did great stuff. Don't give people the open pen to author or to draft or to erase, to be the editor of your life. Don't give people that power. People, especially in their droves, can be very vicious. However, people can also be very gracious if you choose to handle your mess correctly. We wrote of Mike Tyson, and I'm one of those people who, as a motivational speaker, was always giving Mike Tyson as an example of a mess, especially financially. When he bit off the ear of Evander Holyfield, we wrote him off. We wrote of Tiger Woods when he was at his lowest. Remember that? People have the propensity to celebrate the fall of big-time visionaries, especially the people who have no vision, the people who have been intimidated by someone else's vision. Don't let them. Ignore such and be the driver of your own destiny. Go on to the driver's seat. The best among us have known failure. The best among us have known a crisis, personal messes, and moral messes. And they have risen up to be even better human beings. Define your peak moment. Immediately you have hit a low, and start working towards it. Don't let it just go like that and just say it's over for me. Realize how far you've come and how far where you started from, and now how far you can be able to go even when you're at your lowest. Use this crisis or a setback to sharpen your mind, to sharpen your soul, to sharpen your spirit, to sharpen your emotions, and to sharpen even your vision itself, to get the right back up with clarity under your wings. Refrain from going on with life. Just retreat for a minute and review and reclarify and say, yes, this is perhaps so far my lowest, but it is by no means the end of my life. There can yet be another high moment. In fact, let me tell you this, it's like a trough. I don't know if you've ever done forex trading, the ups and the downs and so on. It's like a graph. Every time there is a low, that is not the end of the line. There is going to be another high coming up. So listen only to those who will empower you, only those who will empathize with you, only those who will coach you, only those who will mentor you, those ones who will guide you, teach you, train you, and give you the open door to greatness in your life. That is how, ladies and gentlemen, you slap yourself out of a mess. What do you do? Number one, sliding is inevitable. You realize that. Number two, life as a foundation. Clarify your values. Number three, acknowledge your mess instead of giving excuses about it. And then number four, identify your next highest moment in life that is in the future. And forget about this lowest moment. Use this lowest moment to learn as much as you can. Come to the close of this series, this mini-series. Tomorrow, God willing, we're going to get started on to yet another series, and we will be talking about some other things. Until then, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.